Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, Tank12 having to call me, I don't really care. Welcome back to World of Tanks. Today we're going to do a quick look into the settings tab, and this can be viewed as a little guide by me for any of the new players if you would be interested in, getting your game set up in a specific way. I'm going to show you guys how I set up my game, how I am running around, and why I'm using certain options and where you can find these options if you want to change them. I think these settings are very important because I think a lot of players do overlook them, because when they don't go into the settings, they will not see them. They will not have the knowledge of these settings even being there, and there are quite a lot of options where you can actually change things around if you don't like something. And I think that is very nice to have at least the option to decide how you want to play the game, what kind of settings you want to run, and yeah, we're gonna go right into it. So chat, obviously you have all the chat functions here. You can basically disable chat. You can manage what kind of notifications you want to receive. So if you do not want to see any insults or bad words, you can obviously censor them. It shouldn't matter anymore today, anyways, because World of Tanks has officially introduced a new filter system where you can get permablocked if you do, some questionable things. But moving on further, you can see we have the battle communications. We're going to go to the battle interface in a second, but first, battle communications, you should have them all active because it's going to show personal commands, show the base markers. It's going to show you the sticky markers to, give your team kind of a hint where something might be. Indicate communication on team panel. Like, these things should be active, definitely. Then, if you want to have different game modes available, such as encounter, assault, or grand battle, which usually is only for tier 10, you can activate all of these in this random battle setting tab. This is where you can activate them or you can disable them, which is probably the option that a lot of players want to have. They want to be disabling assault. That's something that I would probably do. I've just disabled all three of those modes because I really cannot stand encounter and assault, and that's why I only play random battles. They're not really my game modes. I always wanted new game modes, but they weren't really that successful for me, at least. Then you can have the vehicle panels if you want to have 2 rows, or if you want to have 1 row. You can obviously change that with mods as well. Mods are really great in this game. Usually there are a lot of different mods you can use, and they work most of the time very nicely. So then you have the option of disabling and enabling historical or non-historical elements in the game. That means you are going to be able to see vehicles with only a historical skin, so you can actually disable any kind of green, blue, gray, pink skin that you do not like. You can disable them, or you can have all of them active, as I have, and you can have the full color palette. And I think it's a nice thing for players that only want to see the historical vehicles with the historical looks. Also, display marks of excellence. You can enable your battle recordings. These are going to be in your folder of World of Tanks. You just need to know where you saved the game. You can display the vehicles of platoon members in the garage, which looks quite nice. But you can also disable it if you want to do that. You can anonymize your nickname in battle, which is a great tool, because then people will not be able to actually see your statistics, because XVM is going to not be able to read it out. And that's all pretty cool. Like, these options should be options that you want to take a look into, because you might not want to be one of the players that has XVM checking your stats and players focusing you because you're maybe very good, or I don't know, you're not very good, and the stats kind of are put out there, and people use that as something to instrumentalize it, to use it against you. Then obviously you can have like the battle interface. This is really, really important, because there are a lot of options here, so we're going to go through them real fast. So you want to see the vehicle tier, obviously, especially if you're a new player. You want to see what the tanks actually are, what kind of tier they are. So you immediately have an idea, oh my god, that's tier 10, I'm a tier 8, that thing is 2 tiers above me. It's going to be a very dangerous fight if I go up against it. So yeah, it's a very nice feature to have more information. It's very simple. Display dog tags of enemies you destroy. Yeah, you can do that. Display your actual dog tag. You can disable that if you don't want to see the dog tags. Enable optics effect in sniper mode. You can disable that as well if you don't like it. Show postmortem vehicle that destroyed your vehicle. If you hate kill cams, you can disable that. Enable dynamic camera. Definitely enable this. Enable tactical view, which gives you the ability to zoom out. Keep that. Enable that. Enable commander camera, which I'm not even sure what the commander camera is. I have never heard of that. It could be for artillery. Could be like one of the bird's eye view cameras, but I'm not entirely sure what that's supposed to be. But keep it enabled because I have it enabled as well. Horizontal stabilization in sniper mode, yes. Do not deactivate that. It's quite annoying without it. And then I've definitely enabled the 16 and 25 times zoom because basically that is really going to show you where you're going to be aiming. And still the circle is going to be larger, but your zoom is going to be bigger. So the circle is going to show you where the round is going to be heading. And that is a very nice feature to have. It's a bit weird at first when you're zooming in because when you usually are only, when you're like really used to 4 times and 8 times zoom, you don't scroll further, but when you do activate 16, 25 times zoom, you kind of keep on scrolling and you end up not going maybe to the 8 times zoom. All of a sudden you're on the 25 zoom and you're in a close quarter engagement. All of a sudden you've zoomed too much. So yeah, you can also disable toggling the shift key, which will lock your aiming, like the sniper mode, only to your middle mouse button. Yeah, enable automatic hull lock in sniper mode. I think this is for tank destroyers. This is something where you are very much limited to the wait, let me read that real fast. In vehicles without 360 degree gun traverse. Oh yeah, exactly. So when you're playing like FE 215B 183, where you have basically like I think a bit more than 130 degrees in front of you where you can actually shoot, or maybe it's even a bit more. You want to have this enabled because it will mean that you can be in sniper mode, aim to that very right, and when you're aiming, when your aim basically reaches the limit of your arc, you're not going to start moving to the left or the right. So if you're in a bush and you don't want to move, you will not be moving. So that's very, very nice to have. Now the server reticle is something that shows you exactly where your reticle is with the server. I have a massive ping, so it's really annoying for me because I have 140 140 milliseconds of a ping on my vehicle. So the problem for me is when I'm playing the game and I have the server reticle enabled, it's going to drag alongside me. It shows you exactly where it is, so there's always a latency with me, but I don't like to see it. Now, you obviously want to have vehicle markers on battle, score panel, notification when damaged or when not causing damage. The speedometer, you want to see that. You want to show the repair time for damaged modules. You want to see the previous battle results because even when you're in a game, it's just going to pop up as a little message. And then you can choose if you want to have the HP in team panels or if you want to have the HP also available for every single vehicle, and you can do that by just pressing tab or alt or whatever you have configured it to do. Now minimap, very important. You want to have all of these enabled because you want to see where artillery has hit. You want to see the draw circle, which is basically there are 4 circles. You have the proximity spotting range, which is 50 meters, like a radius of 50 meters. Then you have the view range circle, which is going to be the green one. The maximum spotting range is going to be the white one. And the draw circle is everything you're going to be able to see, which is 500 meters. So yeah, you want to have all of these things enabled right in here. Then you can also have like the garage rotation, and all of these things usually should be enabled, even though like the garage rotation, if you don't want that, you can always disable it. It's very nice to see your tank just, you know, slowly but surely turning around when you're not there or when you're doing something else. But you don't really need that. Now moving on to the controls. Now the controls is a bit of a thing because it's a very much like personal preference. I myself haven't really changed the controls a lot. You can change them around however you want to play the game. But certainly for me, the aim time, the sensitivity I had to crank down because I want to be able to make the shots count. I want to be able to hit the shots. So I want to have a little bit of accuracy. That means arcade aim, sniper aim, artillery aim, trajectory view. Everything I put down a little bit to give me like the perfect aim time for me personally. But that's just... yeah, that's a personal preference that you have to know. Now, for me, myself, how have I decided to equip my, or choose my reticle? I want to have the diagonal because the diagonal gives me a very, very nice like outlook with the reload time on the left side, which will fill up with this counter as well. You have this very nice and simple crosshair, and that is fine by me in the sniper mode. And then you have like this cross with the green around it, with the dots, because I want to see if I'm loading or if I'm not loaded. So you can change that, you can see it, you can change it without the load indicator, you can make it a solid, which is also quite nice, but I want to have it with little dots surrounding the crosshair. You have a lot of options. You can make it red, you can make it a little dot, you can make it a red dot, you can shape it, and yeah, there are a lot of options that you can choose from, but I personally am going to use this one right here because I like that. You can also decide how you want to have it, if you want to have it more transparent or not. Then in the sniper view, I would certainly suggest that you would look into it and just look for yourself. Now with artillery, you want to have all the different modes enabled. You want to have all the information that you can get. This is something that is really important. So moving on to markers, this is personal preference, I would say, but always have the ability to see the HP pool of the vehicles, not just the percentage, so that you can still at least hit tab and see like the remaining HP left, because it's very important to be informed how much HP the tanks have and not just a percentage, because the percentages are not going to help you if you don't know the HP, and having the exact number of HP is going to show you exactly how many hits the vehicle is going to survive or not, because you kind of can calculate the damage output of a certain vehicle, and then you can kind of think about, yeah, this might just be something that will kill this tank if he's being shot at, and then you can dive out in front of him and save his life. So now to the battlefield notifications, because these are really, really important, and these battle notifications really improve your gameplay style, and this is why I kind of made this video, and this is why you should really take a look at the battle notifications at the options menu. So what do you have? You have the standard, which is basically the old school World of Tanks damage indicator. It basically shows you from which angle, which direction you have been hit, if it bounced or if it's a damaging shot. You want to have it enabled as advanced, because advanced is going to show you who hit you. Is it a friendly tank that hit you? Is it did it do damage? How much damage it did? Did it destroy a module? Did it bounce? You need these informations. They're really important. So always enable everything. You want to have critical hits. You might disable friendly fire because it's not going to do anything, but I would still keep it in there just so you know that the friendly is shooting you. Then information, you want to see the amount of damage, and you want to see vehicle info. You want to see, maybe you don't need the animation, but still I would enable vehicle info and amount of damage at least. That's very important. Now to the very good stuff. Now, this is why I really haven't been using any more modifications lately, because everything is in the game now. Now, in battle, when you're playing your tank, obviously, when you're enabling all of these notifications, they might be a little bit of a distraction. So having these notifications, having as little notifications as you can, is probably going to be giving you a bit of better overview of the game, but you're losing a lot of necessary information. So what you want to have is you want to see damage received, you want to see how much damage you've done, you want to see the damage that you blocked for missions, for example. What you can do is you can see how many capture points you've reset, but usually I disable that because it doesn't happen often that I'm going to reset a base. The capture points of capping a base, you can actually see that when you're capping a base. It's not that important. You want to see spotting, you want to see what you've spotted, you want to enable that. Damage from ramming, you can enable that if you want. I've always had it disabled, but I'm going to enable it right now. And most of the time you're not going to see everything at once, because not everything is going to be happening at once. But you want to see the track destroyed thing if you're destroying a track. You want to see critical damage. You want to see damage from a shot, definitely. You want to see damage by, what is damage by wrecking? Yeah, okay, like the destroyed, I don't even know, damage by wrecking. Maybe you don't need that, but I haven't enabled anyway. Damage by your spotting, that's very important when you're playing a light tank. You want to see how much assistance damage you're going to get. You want to see damage after you're stunned. You want to see how much assistance damage you get when you stun someone, and you want to see if you set a vehicle on fire, because that's always going to be giving you more information on how much HP the vehicle has, how much HP it's going to lose, and it's going to show you, oh, the guy just lost his track, so you can actually ping the map if he went kind of unspotted, and you can ping the map and tell everyone on your team he's tracked, and artillery might fire that position again. So these things are really important. You want to have the information. When I first logged into my secondary account and I played a game, I didn't get any notification because everything was disabled. I had no information at all. Keep these on. At least have some of them on. The most important ones definitely are the spotting ones. When you spotted something, you want to see the track destroyed or the critical damage. You want to see the damage you deal. You want to see the damage you assist. These are very important, and maybe the damage you do when you set someone on fire. Keep these on, the rest you can disable, but these are really important. They give you more information. Now, let's take a look at the log, because the log is going to show you exactly how much damage you have accumulated, how much damage you have dealt, how much damage you have bounced, how much you have assisted, so on and so forth. So you can see the damage caused by you. You want to have that enabled. You want to see the damage you blocked if you have like missions to block damage. You want to have the damage with your assistance, which is spotting, which is tracking, and all that kind of stuff. Keep that on as well, and be it caused upon your stun. If you're playing an artillery piece, definitely keep that on. Now you want to have them. You can disable them. You can always just click Alt and then it will show up. But I will have everything always displayed because I want to see it. I want to be able to see it in front of me. Now, battle performance, that's something where you can see how many tanks have hit you. Keep this enabled. This is really important, because when you get hit by something and they bounce, you get information what kind of a tank is shooting you, even though the tank is not spotted. So keep this on, because it's going to give you so many informations, or so much information on what kind of vehicles you're facing, who is shooting you, are they going to be, did they pen you, is the artillery firing at you, which kind of artillery fired at you, from which kind of direction the RT shot came in, and you know, these things are important. So yeah, basically you can put them below the damage number, but I have it usually on top, right next to the team score. So, what do I have right here? The map border, I have it as a dotted line, not as a wall, because I think the wall is a bit too aggressive, but a dotted line. I would really not disable it, because then you don't really know where the map ends, and you always have to look at the mini-map. So yeah, I wouldn't really enable or disable the border type. So the battle reports, this is probably the last important thing. You want to see your team's HP, because when your team's HP is on display, you can see where you which team usually has the damage advantage and the HP advantage. Now, if your team has 6,000 damage less or 6,000 HP less than the enemy team, you can usually already see that's going to be a loss. So information is key in this game, and this is really important, so enable this as well. Okay, this has been a very long video. Hopefully it's not been too long, but these are like the general settings that I have enabled for myself, and these settings are very important because they give you more information on the game. They give you the information that you need to be effective in a game, so you should always keep it enabled. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. As always, I'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, have a good one. Peace out.